Yeah, thanks so much for having us. Great to see you, Terry.
Thanks. Looking
Um,
forward to this.
yeah, so just really quickly, I'm Katie Davis from Verizon. I lead our efforts to support small and diverse businesses. Um, and as part of that, we have made a commitment, a 10-year commitment to provide 1 million small businesses with resources to thrive in the digital economy. This is part of a broader Verizon corporate initiative called Citizen Verizon, which is our plan to use the power of technology to drive social, environmental, and economic advancement. And so, with this big commitment to support diverse small businesses, we launched earlier this year a platform called Verizon Small Business Digital Ready, which is an online integrated platform that combines content, expert coaching, networking opportunities, and incentives to meet the needs of diverse small businesses, built with a range of partners. And we are so fortunate that Terry is one of the instructors on that platform. He leads two courses, which I think he'll tell you a little bit about later, on optimizing your website as well as product market fit. There's a range of other topics led by other experts. Um, and really today we're hoping to just give you a flavor of what we mean by digital readiness, why it's important for small businesses, and really let Terry share his wisdom with you all. Very quick intro to Terry, and then I'll turn it over to him. Terry is a business development consultant and a staff writer at Entrepreneur Magazine. His focus is on helping entrepreneurs leverage high impact tools, apps, and routines so they can scale their business without sacrificing their health or their personal life. Is something I think we all could use these days. Terry is also an instructor at New York University and General Assembly. His previous experience includes marketing roles at both Adobe and Facebook. So we are so lucky to have this amazing expert with us here today. I will be asking some questions and really letting Terry share his expertise. If you all have questions, please do drop them in the Q&A. I'll be monitoring them, and we're happy to take questions and respond live as we go along. Just if you could take a quick minute to just introduce yourself and talk a little bit about Terry Rice, coaching and consulting, and then we'll get into the meat of it.
Yeah, sure thing. So first of all, I'm an entrepreneur and a parent, and one thing I realized very on is it's important to be as efficient as possible because the more time you take investing in tools, routines, and apps to run your business efficiently, the more time you have for your family in the other moments that matter most. So what I normally do is I help early stage entrepreneurs build their brand, their business, and their revenue through a combination of digital channels, pricing, promotion, but basically everything you need to do to get more clarity around how you're going to build your business. Because again, I know what it's like when you have good ideas and you have experience, but you have no idea how to actually run a business. And unfortunately, being an expert at what you do is a prerequisite. So you do need these other tools, advice, mentors to help you find that success. And that's what I enjoy doing.
Awesome. Okay, so Terry, let's start. I mentioned that Verizon launched this program called Small Business Digital Ready. What is what does digital ready really mean to you as a small business owner?
I feel like it means being aware of opportunities to improve the efficiency of your business. It could be an app, it could be some kind of tools that are available or new processes, but it's also being willing to embrace these things because often we resist change, right? You're running your business as efficient, enough as you might gauge it, and someone says, "Oh, here's this new process, this new approach," and you're like, you know what? I got all this other stuff to worry about. The last thing I want to do is onboard a new tool. So it's having, let's just call it a growth mindset and saying, look, I know things are going well enough right now, or I'm somewhat established, but I always have to be ascending. And part of the ascension is adopting these new tools and processes and embracing that with a curiosity and a courage.
So maybe to pick up on that a little bit more, many business owners maybe know they should be doing this. You mentioned that some are, nervous to make changes. Business owners are busy and change takes time to incorporate. There may just be apprehension about diving into more technology. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you would say to them specifically to encourage them to start thinking about this?
One challenge I think a lot of business owners have is they spend too much time working in their business. because that's revenue generating. You're like, hey, I'm going to do marketing and do sales. I want to get more people coming to me to buy my product or service. But you also want to work on your business. And that's the time it takes to set up, again, these resources, these workflows, these tools, these apps. And if you work on your business, you can work more efficiently in your business. So I would go back to saying lead in with curiosity, just being curious about what's out there, not being, closed-minded. And also there's a courage involved because yes, there is, some apprehension involved with trying out a new process, a new tool, new technology, but you want to be courageous. You're an entrepreneur. You're already courageous, right? So lean into that skill set and that inkling you already have and say, look, here's the next challenge I have to tackle. And it's this, it's learning more about this tool, this platform, whatever it may be.
Awesome. So of course we all know as a result of the pandemic, so many businesses had to adapt in so many ways very rapidly. Often we know some, physical locations literally close sometimes overnight. And so for many businesses, that adaptation involved becoming more virtual or using more digital tools. Um, so how do you advise businesses maybe who made those quick changes to think strategically or businesses who are still kind of figuring out their way? How do you advise businesses to adapt to an increasingly digital business environment?
I would say this. I think it feels natural to kind of cling to the past, saying, "Oh, why do I have to do this? It was never like this before. It's another hassle." But the more time you spend worrying about, what's happened, the less energy and effort you're putting towards adapting to it. So I'd say first, just lean into this challenge because it essentially is what it is. But then also look for opportunities in this, if you want to call it a crisis. How can I change things one way or another to become more efficient? And I'll give you a really good example. My buddy Nick is a chiropractor. So obviously you go to a chiropractor. That's the benefit of of seeing someone like that. They can adjust you. But even before the pandemic, one thing he was doing is giving his patients work they could do at home to make themselves feel better. And he would actually record them, like saying, "Here's how you do this stretch." So when things kind of shut down, he's like, "Okay, you know how to do these stretches, do this." And he would do more like a telehealth model saying, "Look, I can't be there with you right now, but let's get you as much relief as possible by going through this." So it's exploring what's possible as opposed to what's been taken from you and just leaning into that feeling and then again that growth mindset.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get a little practical and tactical now. For businesses who are early on this journey of digital readiness, what are the 5 or so steps that they should think about to evaluate what technology they need and how to start implementing?
I love this question because I often have shiny object syndrome where I'll see an ad for some cool new technology. I'm like, oh, I need that. And all of a sudden I spend $1,000, $2,000 on some app or some platform that I don't even need or know how to use. So the very first thing is to start with your goals. What do you want to accomplish for your company, right? And maybe looking 2 years, 5 years out, but what do you actually want to do in regards to growing your company? Now, it's going to be challenging, but it's not going to be confusing because the next step is to research other competitors. What are they doing? How are they doing marketing? How are they doing fulfillment? Are they using influencers? So on and so forth. Because you're not necessarily, going to copy what they're doing, but if they're finding success, something's working, right? So therefore, you're not as confused because you have that clarity that it's working for them as well. And then you have to decide, okay, well, what actions do I want to take, right? Do I want to create a mobile app? Do I want to start doing email marketing? What specific actions will help me move the needle based on what my goals are and what I'm seeing other companies find success with? That's step 3. And then once you know the actions, you want to find the tools to make that more efficient. So let's pretend you're saying, oh, yes, I want to do more email marketing. Well, yeah, sure, you can manually do it yourself, but you're better off using some kind of email marketing platform and doing some research around that would help you do so more efficiently with more measurement and able to scale much better. And the last thing I would say, the 5th step is, do you or your current staff have the training needed to use these tools? Because again, I've seen it happen so many times as well, where you have all these shiny tools and they're a perfect fit for you. They're great, but no one knows how to use it. And then sometimes no one wants to admit they don't know how to use it. So it just sits there unused. So if you buy these new tools, these new technologies, make sure that everyone's sufficiently onboarded and that you document these steps for new hires as well, because what you don't want to do is have this sunk cost in these tools but get no investment, because you want to think about your ROI. It's going to be 0 if you're not actually using the tools.
Wonderful. I'm going to try and recap and tell me if I missed anything. So I think it's step 1 is look at your needs. Step 2, evaluate your competition and see what other people are doing out there. Step 3, find the practices you want to implement. Step 4, align the tools to do so. And step 5, make sure everybody knows how to use them.
Congrats, that was amazing. Yeah.
Hooray! Amazing. We
Well
didn't
done,
practice
well
that, you
done.
guys. Okay,
One more
wonderful.
thing about the tools I want to bring up is find the most basic version of whatever tool you need. Again, don't buy anything too expensive because you can always upgrade normally. But what you don't want to do is only be using 20% of the tool but paying 100% for it because I know what it's like as a business owner. Like even like 12 bucks a month, 20 bucks a month is a lot. So make sure you don't buy too much too soon.
Do you have tips um, the business owners can evaluate? Like, I feel like there's a lot of tools out there. Do you have tips for how they can think about, what tools might meet their needs and, look at all these choices and make a good decision on where to start?
Yeah, it goes back to having your goals very clear, saying, okay, what do I want to accomplish? And what's almost like the minimum viable solution I can use for this? And then beyond that, does it integrate with other tools I'm currently using as well? Because if there's a problem with that and inconsistency, then you might end up doing some manual work. I also rely on tools that are a bit more established normally because there's going to be all these startups that have this new amazing tool. It's all shiny, but if they run out of funding in 3 months, then it's like, okay, now they're out of business. And then beyond that, there's normally a smaller user community where you can ask for advice and get FAQs, and they might not have as much support. So I look for tools that have shown a history of success as opposed to chasing like the latest and greatest.
Wonderful. So, thinking about businesses that maybe have adopted some of these tools or have established some practices like we've been talking about, we know technology is always changing. So, how should companies evaluate their approach and kind of keep it fresh and stay ahead of the curve, particularly relative to the competition and other market leaders in their area?
Yeah, one thing is actually looking at your competition, saying, what are my peers doing to make sure you're keeping up with them? Because if you notice that every other company in your industry is all of a sudden using one technology versus another, it's a good idea that you should probably use it as well. And there's this really cool tool. You might want to write this one down. It's just called Built With. And if with Built With, you can put in the URL of a competitor, it'll show you their whole tech stack, all the tracking, all the marketing, all the analytics, all the various tools they're using on their website. And you can literally just look and see, okay, they're using that. What is that? I don't know. I'm going to Google it. What's that? Heard of that? Let me Google that too. And from there, you can see what tools they're currently using, but also what tools they used to use and are no longer using. So you might be thinking, we're using that now. Why'd they stop? So we can do some digging there. So that's part of it. I also think it helps to look at companies that are digital natives, meaning they're not legacy companies. They're kind of brought up over the last couple of years because more than likely they're already using the latest technology. And you can say, okay, well, they're much smaller than us, but they're also more nimble, more agile, and maybe they're not using some of the legacy tools we are. Let's see what they're doing. And the last thing I would say is at the very least, what I like doing is a quarterly tech review. So we've all done quarterly business reviews and quarterly planning sessions, but just a quarterly tech review, just saying, okay, what are we using? What's it do? Are there any redundancies between our technologies? I see that happen all the time, where companies sometimes are paying for two things to do the exact same thing, but one team likes this one, the other team likes that one. So look for those redundancies because you can save a lot of money and make it much easier for your teams to work together as well.
Great, thank you. I just want to remind everybody too, if you have questions as we're going along, please do feel free to drop them in the chat for Terry. So next question, and I think it builds on both newer businesses who are newer to the digital space and businesses who are further along. All these things you're talking about take time to manage, and we've already said, and you guys all know, small business owners are very busy. So even if a business owner wants to adopt a more digital approach, they may not want to take on the day-to-day management of these tools and initiatives. They may not have a person or a technology expert on their team. So how can they best think about what they should handle personally as the owner, what they may be able to delegate internally, and where they need to outsource?
The very first thing you want to think about is What functions must I absolutely do for my company? It's core. Like no one else can do it as well as I can. And you might have heard of this book, The Big Leap, by Gay Hendricks, where he talks about the four zones of competence. The first one's incompetence. You're not good at this. You're never going to be. Don't want to be. The second is competence. You know, you're good at this stuff, but a lot of people are better, and you don't get enjoy from it. The zone after that is your zone of excellence. You're really good at this stuff. You're recognized for it. You're an expert. And the fourth zone is a zone of genius. These are things you're curious about, you're passionate about, and you're really good at as well. So you want to spend as much time as possible in your zone of genius and excellence to make sure that you're using your time wisely. The things that you're incompetent at or just somewhat competent at, whenever possible, you want to outsource that. But you also want to be aware of this. Just because you're incompetent at something doesn't mean you're allowed to be unaware of what the tools do and how they work, because you can't hire or manage someone if you don't know what they're doing and the technology involved with that. So you need like just a working knowledge of it. You don't have to be an expert, but if you don't know what's going on, you can't properly work with people in this case.
Right. Um, and so we talked a little bit about tools already, but what are some of the tools that you or your clients have found to be most helpful as you're integrating technology into your business?
Yeah, I'm going to give you another checklist here, so everybody get ready to write this one down too. The first one sounds basic, but it's actually super vital. It's storage. Where are you going to store all your ideas, your documents, spreadsheets? It could be slide presentations. And at the very basic level, we could think of something like a Google Drive, right? So it's going to be low cost. You're all set with that, but you have to have some kind of hopefully a cloud-based system for storing all your information, all your ideas, all your planning. And you know as well, like if you want to maybe like transmit a video, you would share a video with someone. Those are pretty big. You can't always email them. So you need some kind of system for storage for your ideas and your content. The next one is email, right? Email marketing. Sure, we can do social, but email marketing is how you actually own your relationship with your audience. So you want to have some kind of CRM, some kind of some kind of EMS, sorry, some kind of email marketing platform. And you can do some research. There's a lot of industry leaders there that you can look into. Like I said before, though, make sure they're established, because some of the newer ones might have bells and whistles, but at the end of the day, they might break or they might go out of business. After that, scheduling. How do you schedule calls with clients, with stakeholders, with anyone? Because what you don't want to do is let scheduling and coordination cause friction in that process. So if Katie's like, hey, Terry, let's meet next Wednesday. And I'm like, is that EST or PST? And like late afternoon, early morning, it's like, there's too much back and forth. Just give me a link to whatever scheduling tool you have. And this might seem minor, but what we want to do is spend less time on boring admin tasks that waste our time, energy, and talent. So something as small as that can stop these micro interruptions where Katie and I are going back and forth trying to schedule. Next up is your CRM, your customer relationship management platform. This is how you track interactions with prospects and then onto when they become clients or customers. But it's knowing how they're interacting with your products or services, your website, how you're emailing them, how happy are they, any notes you might want to have on them if you're more of a professional service platform. But again, you want to make sure that you don't have all these random notes all over your desk where you're trying to keep track of your clients, right? You can lose a lot of money like that, and it's going to cause a lot of confusion. So again, these tools, our goal here is to give you more time back in your day for the stuff that maybe you enjoy better, as opposed to doing all these boring admin tasks. And the last one, so important, invoicing. Invoicing, you need a real invoicing tool. When I first started out, I was just sending off PDFs and then like getting manually paid by a check. And there were times when I took so long to invoice, it caused big problems with the company, because they're like, now we have to get finance involved, or just a lot of back and forth and saying, where's your W-9, all this random stuff. So use some kind of invoicing tool. And if you're billing customers, the benefit is you can have it automatically send them a reminder politely saying, hey, Katie, can you please pay me? And it's opposed to you having to remember it and try to figure out how to wordsmith that conversation. So those are the 5 tools. I'll run it down. It's storage, email, scheduling, a customer relationship management platform, and invoicing.
Perfect, thanks. There's one of the other subject matter experts on our Digital Ready platform talks about an example where she waited so long to invoice that the company she was invoicing went out of business. So she never got paid because there was no one to pay her anymore. So just a bit of a an emphasis on that point. Like, yeah, get yourselves paid in a timely way for
Well,
sure.
another benefit of having that setup is because let's be real, as a small business owner, sometimes you don't really know how your cash flow is going week to week, month to month. So your friends, your family, they might want to plan these big events, a vacation or some kind of celebration, or maybe you want to buy a home. But if you don't have an easy system to look and see what your cash flow is and what you expect for the next week, month, year, whatever it is, it's going to cause anxiety. It's going to cause uncertainty, and you're never going to be relaxed. And I'm speaking from experience. I'm not just saying hypothetically. I'm telling you right now. Imagine having 4 kids, but having no idea where your next paycheck's coming from, right? You don't want to be in that situation, which is why I have a good handle on my finances. But just take the time. I know it's not fun. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's boring. I know it's intimidating. But this is not a problem that you can just go around. You have to go through it. And on the other side is clarity and confidence. And then the benefit of having a CRM system is you'll know the source of leads or customers that converted. So if you want to grow your revenue, you go back to those sources and say, okay, I have to do more Facebook ads. I have to do more speaking engagements. I have to do more podcasts, whatever it is. So what we're doing right now is giving you that clarity so you can move forward and grow your revenue.
And Terry, are these the same buckets? So, small businesses fall into so many different industries and categories and kinds of businesses. You mentioned the chiropractor, which I think is not always the type of small business. People think a lot about restaurants and stores and things like that, which of course are an important part of the landscape. Are those applicable sort of across the spectrum of types of small businesses?
Yes, at a high level, but when we get more specific, it's going to change. Like, so let's talk about restaurants. For me, a restaurant being digital ready now means having an app that your best customers can order from directly. Why? Because the reason why they go to Seamless or Grubhub is because it's so easy to push a button and order. So if you spent a couple $1,000s to build your own app, you could have them order directly from you as opposed to giving X% to Seamless. So in mine, if I own a restaurant, I'm like, look, I'm sick of paying these fees. How can I avoid that? Get my own app. That's how you become digital ready. And I would do that regardless of the current situation, if things are getting better or worse with COVID, because either way, you're saving money. And that's the benefit, I think, of let's call it a crisis. You're almost forced to make some tough decisions. But on the other end, you're like, well, shoot, this is actually working better. I'll give you a good example. There's this company called Tippy Toes. Tippy Toes is a ballet class more or less for young people, so mostly school age. And during the pandemic, they're like, what are we gonna do? We can't teach them how to dance over Zoom. Plus, all these parents are sick of Zoom meetings. They don't want to do this, but they still did it because they had training videos for their franchises to learn how to do the dances. They sent those to the parents. They still did live Zooms, but the way that they made it more special is every week the teachers would send a video to each student saying, "Hey, Katie, you're doing really well this week. I know you're working on your pirouettes. That looks good. I just want to let you know that we're all supporting you. We're happy to see you and have a great weekend." That alone, those extra videos, that was the tipping point. That's why people kept on coming back, even though they were tired of Zoom. Heck, I was tired of Zoom, right? Because I have, young kids. But it forces you to say, like, how can we serve our audience better and just have more empathy, right, for what their needs are. And as a result, just sending a thank you note every week, that was a tipping point. As a result, now they're not just in physical locations, they're now doing it online around the US. And they're now able to reach more people because they have a larger footprint. And they're also able to help people who couldn't afford to go to their in-person locations. So their revenue went up, right? So long story, but hopefully gives you an example of how you can adjust and be digital ready.
Yeah, that's a great story. I, in fact, did virtual ballet with a 4-year-old for a while, so
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
resonates for me.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so moving on, I mentioned earlier the Verizon Small Business Digital Ready program, which offers small business owners free and integrated learning plan that customizes recommendations for them based on their size, their stage, their industry, and what they're interested in learning about. You teach 2 courses on that platform, and maybe more in the future, but the courses you teach right now are put your website to work and find the right fit, satisfy the market with the right product. So tell us about those courses. I think particularly the latter course may be something that not everybody thinks about all the time around product market fit, and why you think it's important in the context of digital readiness.
Yeah, your product market fit is so important because that's essentially the degree to which your target audience adopts and spreads the word about your product or service. So it's impossible to scale if you don't have the right product market fit. And sometimes you might have the best, the right audience, the best advertising, so on and so forth. But if your product's not meeting their needs, then you can't scale. So how do you know if you have the right product market fit? One is just through surveys, just asking people like, what do you like about this? What do you not like about this? One of my favorite questions is, how could we change this product to make you willing to pay twice as much for it and you'd still be happy? If you can get the answer to that question, you will scale easily because you can obviously innovate. But it's also, people willing to spread the word about your product? Are they sharing it with their friends? Because there's a term called a viral coefficient. You can write that down for later. But more or less, it's saying for every person that is a current customer, how many people would they be willing to share that with? And if you know your coefficient is, let's say, 2, meaning for every one person, they'll share it with 2 people, well, heck, you're going to grow. But if it's negative, it's like, okay, they won't share it. So you want to pay attention to this because when you're first starting out, you're going to have what are called innovators and early adopters. And those might be people who try any new service. Those are the people who like see an ad on like online, like, yeah, I need that, like another gadget. And you can get some initial traction like that. But the thing is, you'll never actually reach critical mass where you're reaching other people because you don't have a good product market fit. So getting clear on that is key. And I think reevaluating your product market fit is also very important because as the marketplace changes, as needs change, that's super important too, right? So going back to Tippy Toes, the dance studio, their product fit had to change due to COVID. So I think even if you have an established one right now, it's always beneficial to reevaluate that.
That's great. Can you still hear me? I'm getting a little thing that I'm trying to be reconnected. Are you hearing me okay?
I can hear you great, yeah.
Okay, perfect. I don't know. All right, wonderful. Just a follow-up question on that. I think part of what is sort of implied in what you're saying is understanding your customer and your target customer, or figuring out your customer and your target customer. Can you just say a little bit more about how businesses might, figure out who their service? So I guess there's 2 ways to think about it, right? Like, what is the market and how do you make your product fit the market? But also, how do you find the right market that appreciates your offering?
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with curiosity, and you can do surveys. So, for example, on my end, I built a service for my company, and I actually went on LinkedIn, and I reached out to 200 people who would have been a good fit for that product or service. And I said, hey, what's the number one hurdle you face every day in regards to, let's say, growing your business? And I got, so they would respond to that. And I would say, if someone waved a magic wand and solved that problem, what would it look like? And the last question was, how much would you be willing to pay for this solution? So I sent that questionnaire more or less out to 200 people, and I got 43 responses within a week, which is insanely high, right? So therefore, I used my target audience to build a product. And I think that's what we want to do. We want to be audience driven in regards to who we're building product or how we're building products and services. And what you might find is you have the right product, but you're pitching it to the wrong audience, or vice versa. So doing that initially, that research is beneficial. You can also do what's called social listening. And social listings, when you go on various platforms, let's say it could be Reddit, for an example, and there's going to be all these sub tribes of people. Like one of my friends is a sleep health educator. She helps people get more sleep. She'll go to the thread for insomnia and read all the comments there. What are people saying? And that's how she discovered there was another market she wasn't serving properly. It was teachers last year. Teachers that were having trouble sleeping because they're absorbing more blue light than normal because they're in front of a computer. And just parents like me just bugging them all night saying, how's Lena doing, right? So she rolled out a new program to help teachers get more sleep, and she actually sells it at a district level. So let's tell a story here, right? She found a new product market fit for her service, but she sells it to districts, not just individuals. Individuals might pay you $500, districts a lot more. So she's doing very well just on the fact that she went and did that social listening, which is free for all of us.
That's a great example and hits on a point that I think we try to think about a lot within my work too, is who is your end user, but they might not always be your immediate customer, right? Is there a non-traditional customer who may be willing to pay more, be able to pay more, just have an incentive to serve that need, who may not actually be your end user? So Very resonant. Great point. Um, okay, are there any other courses within the Verizon platform that you would recommend for businesses who want to advance on their digital readiness? Beyond yours, of course.
Thank you. Yeah, I would absolutely lean into content marketing because the goal of content marketing is to provide valuable content in exchange for your audience's attention. But you can't do that, going back to our previous point, if you don't understand your audience and have empathy for them. Now, once you have this content developed, you can leverage it for social media. You can leverage it for paid ads. You can leverage it for email marketing. You can leverage it for search engine optimization, meaning people Googling these questions and you having the answer in your website. So if you master content marketing, I know that you also have a strong command of your product market fit because you know exactly who you're talking to and what their problems are. So I would start there. And then once you have this content, say, okay, well, how can I distribute it through one channel versus another? And even in conversation with your target audience, you'll have a better command of what's going on with them because of this research that you have to do to lean into this content marketing. So that's where I would start.
Great, thanks. Okay, I'm going to take a minute and see if there's any questions from our audience. Please feel free to drop any questions, comments, feedback for Terry in the Q&A. I'm just scanning through to see if we have anything. So I think these might actually be old questions from the prior session, but I'm going to pull some of them forward here because I think they're relevant. So Jennifer, if you're still with us, you had made a comment, I think in the prior session, about wanting to help businesses reach additional customers through online channels that they aren't currently reaching with retail storefronts. So I guess, you gave us a really good example on the restaurant industry. Do you have any, a few tips or tools, particularly for retail?
Yeah, so this company I'm working with right now, they do assisted stretching, so kind of like Pilates. And what we're doing is we're running ads online, local ads, to offer a free session to people. So a 30-minute trial session where they can either come to the retail location, or if they're concerned about coming to a location, we'll go to them directly. And we're running these ads, again, at a local level, but we're getting leads for about $2.50 each, which is a pretty good deal, right? So someone's saying, yes, I will either come to you or I'll go to your home, or you can come to my home and I'll get this free session from you. And those are converting at about 20% right now. So it's going pretty well because the ROI is great, but we can be much more specific about the area that we're targeting, even mention the area sometimes in the location. And then from there, creating one with relevance with our target audience. So I would highly recommend trying something similar. And let's kind of go back for a second. Let's pretend, you're not going to do a free session or something like that. You can still have what's called a lead magnet. A lead magnet is valuable information that you offer in exchange for your audience's contact information. So an example of a lead magnet could be a one-page business plan for entrepreneurs. And you could target entrepreneurs and say, hey, if you want this, clear, concise way to plan your business, here you go. Then from there, you get their email addresses, and then we go into email marketing, and we can serve them from there as well.
Don't see any other questions coming in. Maybe I'll just ask, knowing sort of the content of the other course on optimizing your website, are there a couple tips or really practical things that people could implement right away that may help their website stand out or may help them optimize what's currently on?
Yeah, there's a few things. The first is go to your website and determine if you can immediately tell what you do and who you do it for. Literally look at your website. And sometimes we're tempted. We're like, oh, since 1913, we've been doing this. And it's like, what do you do? Right? So get to the point. And then do the same thing on your mobile device, but also make sure that you don't have any pop-ups blocking the content, because so often we have these pop-ups saying, save 10% on this thing you've never heard of because I'm blocking the screen. So you don't want to be that person. You want to make sure that people can actually see your screen. And also, if you're using mobile, be aware that about 80%, maybe 90% of social media traffic is coming from mobile. So if you're not mobile optimized in the way that you're presenting yourself, it's hard to navigate. A lot of the stuff you're doing on mobile, on social, won't land as well. The next thing is testing your speed. Google has a cool tool. It's called Google Test My Site, where you can see how quickly your website loads. And if it's slow, Google estimates about 40% of people will leave a website that does not load within 3 seconds. So that's how patient we are. And in my head, I'm like, well, it's going to space. Like, give it some time. But people don't want to wait that long. So if your site takes too long to load, that can be a problem. Another thing I would look for is how easy it is it to contact you. If someone wants to call your business or email your business, are you burying that at the bottom of the page? Because again, people often do research on their mobile phone. So if they're researching you and they want to reach out to you, it should be super easy to do so, right? Just hit a button and we can do that. But if you make them scroll through your backstory and all this other stuff to do so, then things don't land as well. You're causing friction in the conversion process. So that's what I would look at. Just how clear is it? Are there any pop-ups blocking anything? How fast is your website? And how quickly can they actually learn more about you and contact you?
That's such a good point about the phone. And like, I know if I'm on a website and the phone number is like hard typed and it doesn't give me the option to like just push the number and call, I'm like, never mind. Like the idea of trying to write down the number and then type it in. Yeah.
Not happening. Oh,
Sounds very.
one more thing about the phone. Test different phones. Excuse me. Because I'm an Android guy. Like, I don't know why. My wife has an iOS. So whenever I do that, I test on my phone and hers. So test different operating systems as well.
All right, I'm going to do one last call for any audience questions. And if not, I'll ask you, Terry, for any parting words, final tips or tricks, or anything you want to leave with the audience. Um, yeah, I don't see any questions, so I'll turn it back to you.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I mean, my parting thought would be to just set time aside to think about this. Give yourself a couple hours, right? And I usually would say do it in the morning before like the events of the day get to you. But by design, just think, okay, what am I doing right now in regards to my digital readiness, my tech stack, and what should I be doing, right? By looking at your competitors and reviewing opportunities, but then make a real plan, right? Saying, okay, well, what are my goals and how can I implement these over the next, say 90 days? And one great framework for that is OKRs, objectives and key results. So your objective might be to make all your outbound communication, your email, all go through a certain email marketing platform. Okay, that's the objective. What are the key results? The key result would be selecting a platform, and then it would be maybe uploading your list to that platform. And the third would be creating like an email sequence for new subscribers to go through. So OKRs, I think, are a great framework for any of us to use in these sprints, more or less, where over the course of, let's say, again, a quarter, 90 days, we want to accomplish something meaningful, but also possible within that short period of time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Terry, for all of these really practical, actionable points of advice for small businesses. Really enjoyed the conversation with you. One more little plug for the Verizon Small Business Digital Ready platform. I'm going to drop it in the chat if anybody is interested. It's a totally free platform that you can register for and access. There are a number of sections led by experts, just like Terry, providing really practical, actionable tips, as well as some live coaching sessions where you can meet one-on-one with an expert. Every course actually has an office hours session afterwards. Terry, I think you're probably hosting some of those coming up where, Terry's course is pre-recorded, but there's an opportunity to come have a live Q&A with the experts once a month for everyone who's completed that course. And just a lot of really great stuff designed in partnership with small business owners, with small businesses in mind. So really hope you'll check it out. And thank you so much again, Terry. It was great talking to you. And thanks everybody for listening.